Welcome to the Financially Free Journey podcast, and I am your host, Courtney Dyer. This podcast aims to dispel the seemingly complex topic of personal finance, money management, investing, and retirement. And in today's episode, we are going to be discussing how to handle your relationship and money. And we know it's nothing new that disagreements over money are one of the top reasons why couples end up getting divorced, even though there are tons of resources and professionals available for couples to turn to. Money continues to be a top driver for breaking up. And why is that? Many times, couples go into their marriage financially blind. You are blinded by the bliss and the love and the newness of your relationship, and talking about finances isn't so sexy. And you don't want to discuss your past money troubles, your debts, your spending patterns, or future financial goals for fear of being judged or blamed by your partner. So, what happens? Well, these important discussions are ignored and they're bottled up for later that end up in massive fights that could potentially end your marriage. So as a couple, your financial past, present, and future should be something that strengthens your relationship and your ability to work together as a team. Okay, let's go through some tips on how to handle your relationship and money. Tip number 1, recognize your partner's money habits. Whether you are a new couple or you've been together for years, there is no time like the present to consciously understand your partner's money habits. Take the time to see where your partner spends money and why they do it. Remember, debt isn't the only money habit that can derail a romance. And there's a couple of red flags that I want to bring up for you to look out for that can help you better understand your partner's money habits. Red flag number 1. Your partner is reluctant to talk about money. The reasons for this may vary, and it's not always negative, but we know, of course, debt is a top reason why some people do not want to talk about their finances. And another can be that they grew up in a family that didn't discuss money, and they feel like this is something that doesn't need to be discussed or it's something private. Regardless of the reason, finding out a person's relationship with money is key, and asking some non-accusatory questions may help in this situation. Questions like, how did your parents teach you about money when you were a kid? Or did you get an allowance as a child? Or who taught you about budgeting, saving, and debt? Great ways to find out your partner's money mindset. Red flag number 2. Do you feel like your partner is hiding something financially? The things that someone complains about can signal their finances. For example, are they making comments about how much entrees cost? Do they complain a lot? Listen for complaints and subtle statements like, they're waiting on a paycheck to make a purchase or to go out on a date. This can indicate that they are living paycheck to paycheck, or it could indicate that they're just really frugal. But again, you need to dig into the root cause of why do you feel like they're hiding something financially. Red flag number 3. Does your partner's lifestyle match their income? A serious red flag can be recognized if your partner is living beyond their means financially. Does your wife drive a $60,000 vehicle but makes $45,000 a year? Try to ask for advice or open-ended questions to really gauge their spending habits and really their mindset around spending money. Okay, tip number 2, get on the same page about your money goals. We know we've already recognized your partner's money habits, right? We've looked out for some red flags. Now it's time to talk about your money goals and understand your partner's and to be on the same page. Have you taken the time to recognize and understand your partner's money habits? Yes, you have. Does your significant other, do things like they're planning on traveling the world? Do they want to retire early? Do they want to buy a cabin on a lake? You need to understand their money goals and they need to understand yours. Do they want to do something like change careers or start a business? Discussing these fun future fantasies can be a great way to align your goals with one another and to bring up real money concerns that you can overcome together. If you work out ahead of time all of the details and the kinks, you can actually support each other in reaching these goals and these dreams instead of resenting each other later on in your relationship. So you may find out that you have completely different long-term money goals, and that's okay. A lot of the time, your goals can coexist if you plan out the necessary steps that need to be taken in order to achieve them both. If you're on the same page with your money goals, you can create a budget that both of you see value in, and you'll be more likely to stick to it. Creating a budget that makes sense to both of you will help you avoid major money mistakes in your relationship that lead to serious arguments. Creating a meaningful budget can also help you with, things like checking in with each other regularly, discussing what is and what isn't working, and communicating about these changes that need to be made. Healthy communication is key to financial success in your relationship. Creating a meaningful budget is also going to help you avoid the nickel and diming each other fight, which is one of the top fights when it comes to finances in couples. People enter into relationships with different salaries, varying knowledge when it comes to finances. If you're in a relationship but you're not married, it may make sense to split the bills, 50-50 to be fair. If you're married or committed, it may make more sense to not count every penny each person is bringing into the relationship and to just split things equitably. The same thing is true if your partner is a stay-at-home parent or doesn't work. It's extremely important that you both feel your voice is heard, valued, and are actively participating in making the financial decisions. The last tip number 3, is you need to handle debt together as a couple. As I mentioned earlier, debt is a sore topic that leads to the majority of money fights for couples. Make a plan to pay down debt together. All of the debt in a relationship needs to be laid out and a part of the plan to tackle as a team. If you're married or a committed couple, drawing a line in the sand and saying your partner's debt isn't your problem is not going to work out very well. Even if the debt existed prior to your relationship, your credit rating can be negatively impacted, as well as the bottom line of how much money the two of you are paying towards your bills each month, savings, and your retirement. So regardless of the specific relationship, whether you're a newlywed, a long-time married couple, a newly committed and living together, or you're just starting to seriously date, if you see a future with your significant other, it is critical that you understand their money habits and their money goals. And if you're married or you're committed financially and you're intertwined, it is critical that you align your money goals and you create a meaningful budget and you handle that debt together. The open communication is going to strengthen your understanding, your love, and your respect for each other. So thanks again for tuning in to today's episode, guys. Make sure you're following us on Twitter @FinanciallyJ and Instagram @FinanciallyFreeJourney for the daily tips and the motivation on how to help you achieve your financially free journey. Until next time.